I'm good. Did you miss me?
I did a lot. A lot.
I really don't want to get your channel deleted, Reed. That you're asking for serious trouble if I answer that question.
Well, then stop fucking talking about us, man.
How much perceived value do you think we will lose?
Well, I mean, we lose a lot.
The establishment Republicans are not Republican in name only. That's what the GOP is.
So many people want everyone else to come to libertarianism the same way they did.
But the slave mentality is praised.
All right. Thanks,
I want
Mike.
your phone to blow up with notifications every time the show is on. Thank you, Reed.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Naturalist Capitalist. I am Twitterless, but I am not lifeless. I am still here. Don't worry. My YouTube isn't going anywhere for now. I've got a very interesting guest on the other end tonight. He had me on his show a long time ago, and I've been a pain in the ass trying to get him back on. I think we first started trying to work it out like 2 months ago, and I just kept having to reschedule. He is Zach Brown of the Unfit Statesman. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, I'm glad to finally have you on after so many fuck ups that were pretty much all my fault. But I mean, pretty much every
So many
night.
fortnights have passed since we last saw each other's faces in real time.
That's true. I mean, like pretty much every single night that we scheduled, something fucking retarded happened during the day, and I had to work like 10 o'clock at night. And then this last time, I didn't think it was going to work out, but then it finally was like looking like it would, and then something happened on your end, and it looked like all hope was lost. Here we are. We're together again.
I was busy that night. I was actually on the set of Rust, and I was teaching Alec Baldwin gun safety, and I told him that it's okay to point it at somebody, even if you think it's not loaded. I told him that. I said that's okay. That's fine. That's having fun, and he heeded advice. And you know what? I'm glad he had some fun.
Yeah, well,
Things are fun.
I don't know if you saw, but COVID restrictions might be responsible for not completely responsible, partially responsible for the gun mishap. Do you know what I'm referencing? Or?
I do. And so you're referencing the fact that the armorer was not present during the mishap. What's interesting, though, about that particular situation is the armorer was like a 24-year-old girl. She was the daughter of some, like, he's well known in the Hollywood studio community, who's, he's well known in that echelon of society. He's an armorer. He's done tons of fucking movies, right? And so she got the job because of her relation to him. 2 weeks prior to this event, she's on a podcast. I don't know which podcast. And she literally says, one, she feels unprepared. Two, she said the scariest thing of the whole situation was her loading blanks into the magazine because she didn't know how to do it. Okay, so that's another layer of a problem onto the whole Baldwin situation, right? And he's an executive producer, so not only was he the main actor and the gunman, he's also an executive producer. He had money in the movie, and also, if you didn't know, this is interesting tidbit of information. If you didn't know, he was playing a character who's on the run from police for accidentally committing a murder. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Is that not amazing?
It is amazing.
Not imitate art. What? How? This is the pinnacle of that saying. People don't understand. He shot a woman with a loaded gun after years of saying that guns are bad and being a liberal douche, while playing on the movie set of about a character who fucking is on the run from the law for accidentally committing a murder. I mean,
it is incredible. I mean,
what happened?
Truth
are we in the Matrix? Are we living in a movie? I think yes.
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't had time to look into it as much as you have. It was a live bullet, right? Like, because some people are confused over whether it was some malfunction. It was a live round with a bullet, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was I thought I had first heard that it was a malfunction of blank. Like there was some projectile. Like I don't, but they never specified that it was a live round until like 2 days ago, I think, maybe a day ago even.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, why was a live round on a movie set in the first place? I thought that was
Why was
illegal.
Alec Baldwin on a movie set? He sucks now. He's washed. This is the problem. People are misunderstanding what the real problem is. We're still casting Alec Baldwin in feature films as the lead character. I think that's what we should be focusing on as the problem in this scenario. Yes?
That's a good point. I mean, I liked him in The Hunt for Red October, but he's gone downhill
That's
since
gonna
then.
feel like you like the commies. I mean, here's the thing. Here's what I'll say about Alec Baldwin. He pulls off not being in shape better than anybody else. It's amazing. It's spectacular. It is elite. It is so baffling to me that he can be so grotesque and yet not look horrible.
Yeah. I mean, my theory was that he realized his Trump impersonation was not going so well, so he had to try something else, and he tried Dick Cheney, and he did a pretty good job, although he did a little bit too good of a job because Dick Cheney, it wasn't a fatality. And then Dick Cheney, though, he did have the victim apologize to him for publicly embarrassing him. So I'm wondering if Alec is going to talk to the family and be like, I don't know.
It's so
That is
alpha
power.
to shoot somebody and then go, no, you apologize to me, bitch. It's like the level of immorality and lack of empathy in Dick Cheney's fucking possibly Vicodin addled brain. He seems like he's a Rush Limbaugh type, so I'm assuming. It baffles me. Although it should. I mean, I guess when you reach that level of success in the American political system, you kind of have to be a piece of shit. You have to be a person who lacks empathy, who's willing to step on the throats of the people who support and help you, and stab you in the back, and finger a woman in the hallway who didn't want it. Like these are recurring patterns of these behaviors of people who reach top positions in the American political, in any political system, really. It doesn't matter. America, Russia, China. You have to be a piece of shit because you have to be willing to do literally whatever it takes. And whatever is an all-encompassing term, meaning that if you have to do something horrible, you're going to do it. So I guess I shouldn't be baffled that Dick Cheney was like, "Yeah, you apologize to me." We'll see.
Yeah. So how do you stay on Twitter without getting banned? I mean, because I don't know if you heard what I got banned for.
Are you banned or suspended? So
suspended.
Yes, I definitely heard. Okay.
Yeah.
How long were you suspended for?
It didn't say.
So I was suspended for 48 hours once because there was a person who, I swear to God, I'm not going to get the exact wording right. The person said that they tweeted that Joe Biden coming into power in America is very similar to Ayatollah Khomeini coming into power in Iran in 1979, meaning that this is a older father figure type who's going to coddle the country back to its roots after a whirlwind of societal shakeup. And so I tweeted back at that along the lines of, that's the most retarded thing I've ever heard or I've ever seen. And I watched a retarded person give birth to a retarded baby. And the retarded doctor and I looked at each other and said, that's retarded. And then that person reported me and I got banned for 48 hours. So I don't know. That's the only time, though. I don't know what the protocol is here. What were you? Did they tell you exactly what you were banned for?
Oh yeah, no, it's because I told someone. Are you familiar with Clint Coverdale and Reed Russell?
Oh yes, the vaccine versions of yes. And
yeah,
yes.
yeah. So
Reed
Russell.
I mean, he hasn't come on my show yet because he's being a fucking fag. Get on my show. Get on my show, but don't be a faggot.
Anyway, Reed Russell.
On YouTube, so there goes the monetization.
Yeah, well, whatever. I was kind of planning on that for this episode. Reed Russell, I don't know about you, but if I saw him in real life, I don't think I should be ashamed that I would shoot him immediately, especially if he was coming near my private property. And he said that Jose Gallison accused him of looking like someone who fucks livestock. And then he retorted, "No, I get plenty of ass because my dad, meaning me, has all those lot lizards in the truck." So I told him, "If you come within 100 yards of my truck, I will shoot you." And that's what they got me for.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. It's interesting how, because, there's only a few. I was watching a Lex Friedman podcast, and there's only a very, very select few accounts where there are people dedicated to monitoring it, to suspend them. And those are like Trump caliber types. Like the popularity level has to be super high. But it is very bizarre how they programmed this algorithm to not really, it's very similar to actually the American people, to not really give a shit about the context of what's being said. It's specific words, it's trigger words. It's very woke. Like the algorithm itself is the social justice warrior, progressive left behavior, where they don't pay attention to what you're saying, the context of it. It's just they search for the words, they're listening to the words, and when they pop up, they go, "That he's a horrible. Get him out." It's very and the fact that you have like Antifa members who get offended at the word retard, think that they're fighting these corporate government entities, they're fighting this, they're rebelling. Meanwhile, they've literally Twitter has shaped the algorithm of their entire network off of how these people think, how they fucking react to certain conversations and situations. It's funny, actually. It's actually not. I don't get mad at it. I think I just laugh. It's funny.
That's a beautiful illustration that the American people live off an algorithm now. That's a very accurate way to portray that. I remember the first time that I really noticed that was when the media was saying Donald Trump will not rebuke David Duke, and they would show just clips of him, saying, "I don't know David Duke," or and then I ended up finding this video that showed like 47 times where he rebukes David Duke that they just completely scrubbed. And then I know you were also a Tulsi supporter in 2020. Remember with her, it was Assad. It was just like over and over and over again. Like she won't denounce Assad. She won't say Assad is horrible or whatever. And there are plenty of clips you could find where she says he's a despot, he's a dictator, whatever. But it's amazing how willingly the American people let that shape them. I think it's because we desire to be triggered by something. It's not fun to fully research something and actually look for the truth. It's a lot more fun to just instantly be outraged by something that you find offensive. So I don't think that that's necessarily a conditioning. I think it's also just a natural desire that we have. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that. I don't know if it's a desire or an instinct. Like people, like if you look at throughout history, people have had horrible things happen to them. Pretty much like from 1920 down to the fucking BC era. Every day was horrible for everyone, all the time. Pretty much. Like even if you were rich, you still were shitting like on the ground, right? And you still had hemorrhoids, and you had probably anal infections because you weren't cleaning your asshole. Like everything was horrible all the time, and that's so humans. It's like we've developed this need for horrible things to happen to us on a consistent basis. American society is so comfortable, so convenient, that it's very rare that something really horrible happens. So we have to fabricate something to almost like light it, like people are driven by horrible things, right? And it sparks emotion, it sparks passion. It's like, so when you're angry, you're fucking, usually if you're very angry, you're very passionate. You're in the moment, you're feeling like what. So it's like throughout history, you can go back to the plains of Africa when there was a lion behind you and you turned around and you're like, this is, you go, this isn't my day. Like it literally, human evolution is brutal, and and every human on the planet up until like 1920, 1930, 40, 50, I mean, every day was horrible. So now we've quite rapidly evolved into a lifestyle where it's very rare to experience something extremely brutal or tragic, uh, let alone every day. And this is with the same brain of the 1800s, 1900s, because evolution scientifically happens very slowly. Culture doesn't necessarily change slowly, right? Technology doesn't evolve slowly. But the brain and the human instincts evolves very slowly. So our human instincts have not caught up to the technological progress and the lifestyle that we're living. And so we're like, I need to be upset. I can't just sit and fucking, watch Rogan and masturbate and eat Cheeto Puffs all day because that's only good things. I need to have some reason to be upset, whether it's fucking Biden doing what at Biden's town hall meeting. People were upset about that. Like he was holding his hands here. It's clearly delusional and dementia. Like, yeah, but why are you upset? You really think the president has that much influence on your day-to-day life? Shut the fuck up. And then there's also people who are like, hey, we just got a dictator out of office, so I think we can. It's like you were that upset throughout the whole thing. So I feel like it's people just literally not being able to help themselves and having a fucking insatiable need to be fucking angry and hurt just based on our evolutionary pattern.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt like maybe it was earlier, but it seems like around the turn of the century, we got to a point where technology was no longer enabling us to live a fuller experience, but instead it started taking the wheel instead, and we were suddenly just along for the ride. It seems like technology throughout the 20th century enabled us to explore, to go into space, to survey more of the natural world. And then it got to a point where it started replacing, all forms of struggle, replacing interest, replacing, I mean, just like everything is done for you. There's no joy to driving your car anymore. Like some of them are driverless now, and so few people cook anymore. So few people, walk anywhere anymore. Like everything is just being done for you. It's set in front of you. I don't know if that was always inevitable or if there's anything we can do about it, because it seems like if you try to slow down technology, it's not, I mean, the dam is just going to break in another area. If you try to stick your finger in the dam to stop driverless cars, something else is just going to break through. Is there anything we can do about like the increase of ease and the increase of boredom to stay human, I guess, to stay interested in what's going on, to stay invested?
Um, you know, Riot, Starbucks, that's a time-consuming hobby, right? People need their time. Don't read. Don't, make more of an effort to spend more time with children. Don't try to patch up that relationship with your father. Don't do any of the things that you've been putting off. Get more upset about giant issues that you have no control over, and put all of your effort into that, and write blogs drugs and go out and get people canceled. It's join protests that are pushing for a policy that is ideologically consistent, and just overall go out and do whatever that is in the moment satisfactory to you. Have no understanding of delayed gratification. Do drugs, drink and drive with a child in the backseat, and just make sure when you get a tattoo, you put Aquaphor on it, because it'll dry out and you got to keep it moisturized. Those are the steps to a happy life, and a fulfilling life. Not worrying about your family or your own community, or taking small steps that you actually have control over. Yeah, faggots. That's for faggots. Get mad at AOC, and then take a picture on Instagram and say, "This is why I think AOC was half right and half wrong." Matt Gallagher. That's your way. That's your corridor to a happy, successful life. By getting upset at things that you can't control. That's what I would recommend people do. Constantly be angry at things that they have no control. And that will occupy your time. And eventually what's going to happen is you're going to have a brain aneurysm from stress. And not stress because your life was actually quite easy. You live in an apartment on the west side of New York, and you're like production assistant when your dad had money. So it's not stress. It was stress that you put on, self-induced brain aneurysm, and then when they lower you into the ground, nobody will have anything good to say about you because you were in your apartment the whole time, tweeting about how you liked AOC's feet and Trump was a dictator. That's what I would, that's the way to go, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people have taken that advice, whether or not they've heard it from you. I want to play a clip from your channel that you shared this with me on Twitter several months ago and asked me to share it. And it was amazing. So let's just watch this. I think people are starting to get a hold of your sense of humor. So I think this is a good time to show this clip right here.
The CIA's top priorities are and always have been diversity, social justice, the commitment to progressive ideals. Just the other day, we completed an all-female mission strangling newborns in Syria. Every person we've ever tortured only believed in two genders. Fidel Castro was a proud boy. Everybody always feels bad for Yemen, but everyone over there is fat phobic. You see how skinny they all are? What kind of standards is that set? All of our pre-hires are required to have sex with a transgender person in front of us to prove that they're not transphobic. If all the troops withdraw, how are we going to smash the patriarchy in Afghanistan? My son has a black friend. Chile, Bolivia, Venezuela, pretty much all of South America, we've simply been trying to implement critical race theory into the education system, into the culture, but they've been fighting us so violently about it. They are really racist. We've been putting puberty blockers in the water for years. I'm pretty sure JFK died of COVID. Then slice his fucking throat. I don't care what you do, James. Just make sure he's dead before we get there. Fuck. It's James Charles.
Yeah, that's a great clip, man. Have you found that it's more effective showing, proving a point by using sarcasm than just laying it out to somebody? Because that's kind of what I found. When I originally started on Twitter, it was sort of sincere, and I was trying to get into serious conversations and change people's minds. And then I realized that biting sarcasm ended up being a more effective tool at making people see the irony in something. But I was just wondering what you think about that strategy in general.
I think it depends on how articulate you are and like how well you know the art. Like there is certainly a place and a way and a strategy to just actually seriously break down someone's argument. and explain it nicely back to them in a way that does not shatter their ego, so they're still willing to listen and absorb information. There's a way for it. I'm too dumb to do that. Okay, I don't have that skill set. So the only way to make a point for me, I mean, I can. It's no fun to just be a dick, right? If you're going to be serious and explain something in a debate, you should, and you're trying to change minds, you should approach it with with empathy. You should approach it with understanding. You should approach it with sometimes compromise. Sometimes, um, if you don't have that skill set, you're not going to, all you're going to do is come across as a dick. And if you're going to be a dick, don't be serious about it, right? Be funny about it. Don't take yourself seriously either. So if you don't have the skill set to be, very understanding, very empathy-driven arguer, then you don't have the right to take yourself super seriously. So you should make jokes, and if you are bad at it, then you should just not ever do it. But if you're good at it, you should make jokes about others. But then you should just better be willing to fucking shit on, and just have that. I guess it is right, because I mean, if you're going to be, like I said, the other day, I think this was maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, maybe, I had Scott working on my show, and I had, I knew I had minimal knowledge on American foreign interventionism and what was happening in the Middle East, but like, so he came on my show, and he was talking about, he was naming different Afghani tribes and the intertribal conflict that they had, and why the absence of that knowledge of the American military had a completely horrendous impact on how we approach the situation. Everything that he was just laying this out, and I was like sitting there, awestruck, and I was like, everything, like every once in a while I try to like shoot something in there, and I'd be like, and he crossed Pakistan's borders, and we didn't go after. And then you'd be like, yes, very good. And then you just keep going. And it was,
Right.
But I remember that was there was a point where I was like, holy shit, I don't know anything. Like I was talking to people who didn't know anything about it, so I felt like I had a decent knowledge bank. And then he came on and took a shit on my face in a lecture. Nice. Like we didn't debate. I was like, and I liked Scott. I listened to his fucking debate with Bill Crystal, and that was a rape. That was a molestation. No, but it was like that was good for me because I went, oh, sometimes you forget how much you have to learn. Like I take the route where I'm trying to be entertaining, and then I will also make points. But like sometimes I do forget that I'm mentally retarded, and I have to read more books. This bookshelf, that's all fake books. That's for looks. Movies, fucking Blu-ray. Okay, I have Stephen King novels. What am I fucking? I'm gonna read Theodore Draper or David Stockman? No, sir. No, sir. I'd rather. You know what? I have no. I'm gonna completely pivot. I have no intention of becoming smart. All I want to do is be, I'm gonna call myself a real estate agent addicted to opioids online, and just kind of hang around golf courses, and once they realize that I don't belong there, they'll kick me out, and I'll make a scene, and I'll go viral on World Star Hip. That's my goal. That's my goal.
Hey, they're saying in the comments your audio is coming through a little weak. I tried adjusting it on this side. Are you on your phone or is that just a camera?
Yeah, I'm on my phone. How do I turn it up?
You sound fine to me, so I don't know. Hopefully, whatever. This is the problem with doing them live, but it is what it is.
Okay. So I just turned up my mic.
Just let me know in the comments, guys, if he sounds any better. He doesn't have a microphone on his phone, so stop telling me to tell him to plug in his microphone because he doesn't have one. So
yeah, I don't have one tonight. So sorry, folks. Okay, I turned up my microphone. Tell people to.
We've got a comment saying it sounds great, and then another one saying it's choppy. The choppiness might be from the live stream, so we'll just keep motoring on. So, when did you start paying attention to things? I know you were a Bernie supporter in 2016, and you were a Tulsi supporter this last time around. What was your upbringing like, and were your parents skeptical of things like you are, or was that something that you ended up finding out for yourself? How did you end up realizing we live in an echo chamber of bullshittery, and then how did it start occurring to you?
Well, I grew up. My parents were divorced. My father was conservative. My mother was liberal. Both establishment, like establishment conservative, establishment liberal. And my first thing was I liked Bernie because he had aspects of, I guess I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know this term at the time, but he had aspects of like populism kind of. And so I was drawn to that, where it was like, it made sense to me that at the time people didn't really have the power, because I did understand, like, going into, after Obama's administration, I did understand that he wasn't a good president. I did have that kind of, I had gathered that through the minimal information that I had read and watched. And, and so I was like, okay, so things aren't good. We haven't had a decent, I knew Bush wasn't good. I knew, like, the only thing that I knew at the time was we should not have gone into Iraq and Afghanistan. Like, literally, like, that's the only thing that I knew. And I was like, he got us into a war because he went into Iraq because he had a vendetta against Saddam Hussein, who had taken a hit out on his father, and he, painted this Saddam Hussein like an ally of Bin Laden. It was just all bullshit. So I was like, okay, so the next best thing, like the best thing to do is Bernie, because he seems to be against the Iraq war. He was against the 2008 bailout. I was like, this seems to be like my group. And then slowly, just slow, gradual adjustments. From there, I realized, okay, you know what, I'm not a huge fan of massive wealth distribution. It doesn't seem to work historically. The track record is not great, because if you give the people who are calling corrupt more power to distribute your wealth, then that doesn't make any sense. It's the whole, like, the socialist thing, where it's like, well, we need to give the government more power to redistribute our earned income. It's like, well, do you think that the government that is set up by a socialist country or a socialist system is going to be free of corruption? No, it's going to be the same thing. I talked about it earlier on the episode. To get to the top levels of politics, whether it's here, Russia, China, even like Vietnam, Cambodia, you kind of got to fucking be willing to just fucking put a knife through someone. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Some people are cut out for it, some people aren't. You're going to give those people more power over how your wealth is distributed to quote unquote help the general population. It doesn't make any sense, right? It's not human nature. And so, to me, I hit the Bernie peak, and then I was very anti-Trump during the Hillary Trump campaign. But I didn't like Hillary because I knew about the Hillary body count, because that's what I started getting conspiracies. So I was like, oh, she's a murderer. And so I was like, can't vote for her because she's got a body count, and a legit body count. It's not even a conspiracy. Like, it's these are verifiable people who have died in very conspicuous circumstances. And it's problematic that so many of her friends were so mentally ill and they wanted to commit suicide. I feel bad for the family, so many of their friends. And so I was like, that can't be it, right? Also, my dad was in my ear about fucking what was it? The fucking Benghazi. Fucking fucked up Benghazi. All right. Fair enough. We both dislike it. And so I was like, I don't like Trump. I don't like Hillary. I didn't vote. And then this last fucking cycle, I just kept like throughout Trump, I was like, I don't like him. He makes some good points about like the legacy media and cancel like woke culture in general, and the fabric of society is being stretched very thin. And I was like, but I just can't get behind this guy. He's insane. He's a con man. He's a grifter. So he had a fucking living. I mean, this is a man who was. They were running Bayrock Financial Group out of Trump Tower, which was a Russian pumped-up stock scheme run by Felix Sater, who was an associate of Semyon Mogilevich, who is, I believe, still on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. But like I just couldn't. So I was like, okay, Tulsi seems to be the closest thing that I can recognize as a reasonable politician. And then from there, from Tulsi, I kind of just started very gradually drifting toward the libertarian side of things. I still don't think I'm full libertarian, but that's kind of how I got where I'm at now.
You don't have enough autism to be a libertarian? Is that what's keeping you back, or?
Yeah, I have too much charisma to be a libertarian. I have knowledge of matching colors and on my fucking apparel. That's how I know I feel like a bunch of libertarians are wearing orange shirts with yellow gym shorts under there, Reed, because it wouldn't shock me. I feel like a lot of libertarians don't know how to match their clothes correctly. Right? You've got Scott Horton going on the stage to debate Bill Kristol. He's probably got $1,000 suit. Fucking Scott Horton intellectually rapes the man in a suit that he looks like he got from the Salvation Army. It's fucking. I mean, the whole libertarian movement is just it's a mind fuck. Really, it's a political anomaly that you come across people who are aware so much so in certain areas, and then they just have no awareness of like fashion or self-image. And that's not all of them, but it's some of them. And I'm going to paint all of the rest of them like that. And that's what I do. I judge people. I paint and illustrate demographics in broad brushstrokes.
Yeah, well, I think Ron Paul and Rand Paul, they both wore suits that were like 4 sizes too big for them. That was something that was always super obvious. And we do have Spike Cohen. That guy he's fucking snazzy everywhere he goes. That guy knows how to dress.
I'm having him on. I'm having him on soon.
Are you? Okay, yeah, he's great. He's a good one. By the way, guys, you got to go check this guy out on Rockfin. You've Scott Horton, Pete Quinones, Jason Burmis, right? I think, and then
Jason Burmis, Steve Poikonen. You know what's retarded? I really don't have a huge following, but I get pretty big guests. I don't understand why. Like I am, as of right now, the upcoming docket I think is Spike Cohen. Then after him, I think it's Mach Toure. Like it's retarded. It's mentally retarded that I'm getting these guests who are much more popular than me and probably should be coming on my show for their own reputation. But listen, whatever. I'm not here to question their judgment.
So how do you get them anyway? Is it Twitter or what's your outreach source?
I just ask, and then I'm beginning to think that a lot of like show bookers just don't look at I feel like Maj Toure. As of now, we do have a confirmed date and time, but like I feel like if his booker looked at my show and how not famous it is and what I say during the show, I'm assuming he would cancel. I think it's just irresponsible bookers. Probably what it is, to be quite honest with you. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I've taken a couple shots in the dark. One was Tom Woods. Dave Smith definitely helped me out with that one. But then the other one was Peter Schiff. I knew this guy who worked for him, and he gave me an email to use, and I used it for I think 6 months, and I just didn't get anywhere with the email. And so then finally I was like, all right, fuck it. I'll just send him a direct message on Instagram. And that's what got me through. I was just like, yo, Peter, would you come on my show? And then he sent it to his secretary and we worked it out. But yeah, I mean, it is amazing when you get that guest where you're like, wait, really? Okay, hopefully they don't actually, go watch any of my videos because they might think they've made a bad decision. There are some people when I ask them to come on, I don't send them the trailer to my show because I'm like, this might actually detract from my chances. But I don't know. It has always amazed me how willing most people are to come talk to you. Has that surprised you?
Yeah, it has, but then also it hasn't, because what I've realized too also is, and that was redundant too, and also folks, those two back to back, it's redundant. The people that we're asking are majority, at least, liberty or libertarian adjacent. They're conspiratorial minded. They are oftentimes fringe figures in the media who have made a following for themselves outside of the establishment. So they have very little to they're not beholden to anybody, right? So if they come on your show, your show is actually discussing real things. Mine is me yelling into a mic about Brian laundering for an hour and a half. So it's like they're not beholden to anybody. They don't care. So even if they go onto a podcast and they're like, this guy's insane. It's weird. I'm just gonna fucking, you know what? I'm not gonna talk to them anymore. They're fine. They don't have to worry about being canceled. They don't have to worry about, like, one of the people that I really want to have on my show is Whitney Webb, and you know, if she chooses to come on my show, and say, a group of whoever got a hold of a clip of me saying that, right before he died, I sexually assaulted Owen Powell. And they played that over. How are they going to cancel Whitney? So all of these independent creators who are making their own money outside of an establishment. They're not beholden to anybody. They're not relying upon anybody. So for us, it's probably a lot easier to get people. But what I have noticed is, because I've invited like traditional establishment liberals on my show, and they won't come on. This is the only population that won't come on to my show, is the traditional liberal, like Twitter or on Instagram. And, it's because two reasons. One, I'm not liberal. And two, I'm very crude. So, the establishment, even the establishment Republicans, they're a little more hesitant, but they'll come on. They don't care. Like, you know what I mean? They don't have quite the same, like, hesitancy to go on and talk to someone who's not woke, right? They kind of have an out. But, if you try to get an establishment liberal on your show, Reed, I can guarantee you're not getting them on. I mean, it's, and even if you try to go like establishment, it's still tough. They'll come on easier than the establishment liberal. But I think the reason why we're having an easier time getting bigger guests on our show is they really don't give a fuck, because they don't have to. They're not a part of this legacy mainstream media where they will go on CNN the next day and be, beleaguered by Don Lemon about how they gave, two fucking racists, one a ginger, one with a mustache from the '70s, a platform. You know what I mean? Like, they don't. Even like Maj Toure, like, what? Who the fuck is gonna can't, like, Fox? Like, he goes on Fox or CNN, like, they're gonna say, oh, you went on his show and you talked about guns and gun rights, and how the origins of gun control were rooted in racist ideology. But this guy also said that he thinks that the black card is an empty bag of flaming hot Cheetos. What do you have to say for that? He'll go, I don't care. I don't care. I make my own money. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably why we're having easier than literally, like, if we're trying to run like if we're trying to show book for fucking CNN read, our shows would be fucked. Nobody would come on. Nobody would come on.
Yeah, and I think right-leaning independent people outside the establishment media are more willing to come on than left-leaning independents outside the establishment media too. Like the right-wing, like Peter Schiff goes on Alex Jones and he doesn't care. Like doesn't care what it's going to do to his reputation or whatever. Like I'm not sure Abby Martin would go on with Alex Jones, you know? Like that would be a little bit like the culture within the anti-establishment left still has undertones of expectations that you're supposed to meet, where for the most part the libertarian or right-wing anti-establishment crowd just has zero expectations for how you're supposed to act. They just don't give a fuck. So I think that kind of plays into it too.
It's oddly like you remember like the conservative movement, you know, like Steven Crowder's, the Milo Yiannopoulos', the Ben Shapiro's, you know, whoever, Candace Owens, another one. These people who had made their careers off of basically being anti-woke. They make some good points, right? And you know, they go against mainstream media narratives, which is nice. Hey, fuck, knock it off. Sorry. But they made their careers off of being anti-woke. And like Steven Crowder, like right now, what points has he? What transcendent political points has he made in the past fucking 3 years? He hasn't. He debated dumb college students about, you know, stupid like is America a rape culture and stupid like things where he clearly had the upper hand on a liberal fucking, you know what I mean? So it's like these people made their careers from being anti-woke. And I think what's happening at this point is conservatives, you know, they look at Steven Crowder and they go, these are our talking heads. They've strapped Ann Coulter is smarter than Steven Crowder. And that's insane to say that Ann Coulter's smarter than anybody. Okay? So it's problematic that these are like now these mainstream talking heads for the right. And it's like it's not even like Steven Crowder is not woke. He just gets offended at certain things that the left doesn't get offended at.
Right.
And he made his whole career off of not getting offended at a specific list of things that the left was getting upset about. That's it. I mean, so it's like, as of right now, the only fucking, if you can call it a political party, the only political party that is actually not woke, actually not getting offended, actually, you know, a person who may or may not be pro-life can hear a pro-choice themed joke and not get offended, is the libertarians. Truly. Conservatives are not woke anymore. Sorry. You are woke. You just woke about fucking certain things. You woke about traditional things. You get upset when I say that Jesus was a homosexual and that's why he didn't have sex with anybody. That, you know what I mean? It's a give and take here. You pick and choose. You pick and choose. That's
Yeah, just post an American flag on fire with the caption "Facts don't care about your feelings" underneath it, and you'll see how non-woke the conservatives are. You're absolutely right. So, what drove you to start your show? What was the purpose behind it? What void did you want to fill? What event made you think, I have something important to say here?
Well, I never thought I had anything important to say. I wanted attention. That's it.
That's it. That's the whole answer.
I mean, I literally, like, maybe I have a unique perspective. I mean, maybe I'm entertaining. I mean, here's the thing. I wanted attention, and I thought there might be just enough people who would agree with me, who would give me the attention. I did like a calculation. I'm like, I wonder, because I've never, like, a lot of the political points that I thought of before doing the show, I was like, I haven't heard it on like Lamar or Tucker Carlson or anything. So I wonder maybe if I can just do this and reach enough people, maybe I can, And so it's attention and taking a wild estimate that maybe there's enough people who agree with me on certain political ideology, and I don't even care. I'm pretty sure that most of, like, I'm pretty sure a lot of fucking my fans don't agree with me politically, because my whole thing is, like, I don't actually give a fuck about political ideology. I care about ideological inconsistency. So you can be a conservative, which is gay. Being a conservative is super fucking gay, in my opinion. But if you're ideologically consistent, amazing. I don't even care. I don't care that we disagree. Let's have sex now, right? You could be liberal, but if you're ideologically consistent, amazing, right? And one of the things that happened very recently was the January 6th riot. It gave everybody an opportunity to realize who was ideologically consistent and who wasn't. Right. So a lot of times, you saw a constant, like, I hate Antifa's destroying America. Riots shouldn't be a thing. Cops should be there fucking shooting people in the skull and then going to their house and murdering and raping their wife and daughter, like the My Lai massacre. I mean, these were conservatives during the Antifa riot. They were fucking upset. And then they just went during the Capitol Hill riot. They're like, you know what, right? No, protest. And it's like, I'm not upset about the Capitol Hill riot. I think it's fucking hilarious. But if you were so upset about, like, Antifa, barring the excessive nature of fucking, that store owner in Dallas being kicked to death, that's a bit different, right? But the actual act of being aggressive, assertive, to make a political point, if you were so against that during the summer when Antifa and Black Lives Matter were doing it, and then all of a sudden you're like, these are fucking patriots, right? You're like, well, you're ideologically inconsistent. And then you saw the same thing with liberals. You're like, they're justice, it's morals and ethical things, and they are doing God's work by throwing a throwing a brick through a Starbucks. They're doing God's work by burning a Wendy's down. And then when the Capitol Hill riots come around, they're like, these are people who need to go away. They need to go to Gitmo. And it's like, this was a perfect opportunity for Americans to realize and observe ideological inconsistencies in people around them. And so, like I said, at this point, I think I've become convinced that I'm actually developmentally delayed, because, I mean, I don't know when I'm right or when I'm not. And so I don't even care if you're right or wrong, or if you're Republican or Democrat. I just want you to be ideologically consistent. I just don't want you to be a hypocrite. I just don't want you to be a team. Can you not be on a team? Be a person. Can you think for yourself? Can you stop repeating Tucker Carlson or Bill Maher to me, please? I just want to have a conversation. That's all. That's the whole thing. That's my whole thing. Okay? I have no fucking agenda to push, other than friends, and every actor and producer and director needs to be hard feathered, because that show was horrendous. That's the only agenda that I push on my show. I don't care. Just don't be a douche. Just don't be a douchebag. Don't be an ideological douchebag. Have some fucking consistency. Have some fucking pride. That's all.
Well, that's quite an undertaking nowadays. I've said something similar to that. I've said, I don't care if you agree with me. I just want you to be honest with yourself and look for what's true, which is basically what you're saying. And actually, it's not even basically what you're saying. Like, you're saying, like, even if you're not looking for truth, just be fucking consistent about it. Even if you know you're lying to yourself, just like, I mean, I totally agree with you, man. It's insane.
I don't even, Dude, I hate truth. I make up shit all the time. Dude, I am not beholden to facts. I am not beholden to facts. Okay? I'm worse than well, I'm not as bad as CNN, but I'm close. I'm close to CNN caliber bullshittery. Okay? Bullfuckery. I don't care. Just again, don't be blatantly ideologically inconsistent. Don't come to me and say we need to end the drug war because it's proven that prohibition does not work. You look at the 1920 case, and then you also say we should ban guns. I thought you said prohibition. Don't do that. Don't come to me and do that. Otherwise, I'm going to call you a faggot or a retard, and then you're going to get mad at me, and I'm going to say, listen, it's not a personal thing. It's just that you have no idea who you are or what you think. That's the problem. Most people in this country don't even know what they think because they don't think for themselves. They don't even know their own opinion. They've never explored their own opinion. That's the fucking crazy part. I feel bad for them because they've never just sat in a room and thought about something because they've got all of the sound bites fed to them through fucking media shit. They don't care. They have no intention of thinking of themselves. So it's like, you've never even, like, what you're saying to me right now is not even a thought that you've had. You're just on fucking, reading comprehension at this point, and you're fucking regurgitating Sean Hannity back to me, okay?
Yeah.
I don't care. I have no interest in those types of fucking soliloquies. I just want to I want to hear a person, here's what I want to hear. I want to hear a person go, maybe we should ban guns because, if we do ban guns, people can't get a hold of guns, and maybe that can get rid of some of the violence. And then they go, literally in the middle of this fucking opinion, they go, well, but maybe they will get a hold of it still because people always get a hold of illegal substances, like crack addicts. But maybe the reason why liberal states with strict gun laws are getting guns on the black market is because it's easily transportable in America, because there are other states that can transport it to those liberal states that don't have quite as strict gun laws. But even if they did, they probably get it overseas. I'm sure there's like, I want to hear a person literally fucking have a seizure. That's what I want to hear, because that means they're thinking. They're not fucking memorizing. They're thinking.
Yeah. Well, if you want to hear someone have a seizure, watch this show, because that has happened live on a stream once on the other end.
You had a seizure?
Yes. It was bad.
Jesus.
But it frankly wasn't very.
Was the audio and the camera on throughout the whole seizure? Was it?
Yeah. So, well, not the whole seizure, but it started happening, and then I shut off the camera, and I also didn't know.
Muted them and you got.
Yeah, I killed the stream, but I didn't know where this guy lived, and there was apparently no one with him. So then I had to go on reconnaissance and try to make sure that he was not going to die. But
was he good? He's good.
He was a nice guy, but frankly, the conversation wasn't that interesting.
No.
Oh, was he fine?
Was
That's
he fine?
What a heartless kid I am. Yeah, no, he was fine. So
great
apparently,
politics.
Yeah,
great. That'd be fucking great. Like, I literally, like, an aide, he's like, is he good? And he's like, he literally just made no points. Nothing. Well, I'm frankly quite glad that he's out of my show. It actually made it a little more interesting and saved the episode.
Well, see, that's consistency for you right there. Like capitalist, naturalist, capitalist. I was thinking about like the ratings and everything. It was consistency. So that's what you're talking about. But
when you call yourself, I have a question for you, Take.
Sure.
You're not the only one interrogating me here. Naturalist capitalist, okay? In my mind, the first thing that comes to, the first picture that my brain paints when I think of naturalist capitalist is a nudist colony where they are literally sitting around in chairs, in those like gamer chairs with the good fucking, so that you sit good posture, and they're monitoring screens of cryptocurrency. That's my like brain of fucking naturalist. And then there's like, you go to the outside of the building and there's nudists just fishing. They're fishing and getting their own food. Like that's a naturalist capitalist environment in my mind. What the fuck made you say? What do you mean naturalist capitalist? Do you have an ideological base, a foundation for that adjective before, or I guess it's a noun. What do you call a noun before a noun, but it also describes a noun? What do you call it? It's not an adjective. Because naturalist is a noun, but it's describing capitalist, which is another noun. What do you call that?
I'm not sure. My father's an English teacher, so that's bad. But yeah, I've been, first of all, naturalist capitalist has been confused with naturist capitalist quite a few times, and disappointed many. But if I ever start an OnlyFans, I'll let you guys
grade
know.
reading level, yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
But yeah, the meaning behind it. So naturalism is sort of it's a philosophy that the only way that we can really observe the world is through the physical world, like what's in front of us, what we can actually test, what we can actually see and touch. And I think that those are the ways that we should decide what is
So, like,
true.
tangible.
What's that?
So, like tangible would be like a synonym, kind of, or somewhat adjacent to the definition of naturalist.
Sure. So the reason I don't trust the government is because there hasn't been any fruit that the government has produced that impresses me. The reason the reason I'm skeptical of things is because I want hard evidence that they're actually going to work or that they're actually doing what they say they're going to do. That's basically a naturalist approach to finding truth. And I think that our society is overly emotional, and we also choose a destination for truth, and then we try to line everything up to reach that destination instead of approaching life like a crime scene and trying to put the facts together to lead us to a certain conclusion. And then I think that we should be a little more Darwinian than we've become. Like we've kind of built this society that brings everything to the lowest common denominator instead of letting the market decide, letting the average IQ decide how we're going to run business, how we're going to, talk to each other. I mean, everything is just so dumbed down. This is mostly from being in the workplace that I realized this. I'm kind of on board with removing all warning labels and, letting things work themselves out. So that's where the naturalist part came from, and the capitalist part's kind of self-explanatory, but it kind of rhymed and it kind of worked together. So that was why I ended up going with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, like, I think that's actually probably where you and I separate as far as, like, I don't think we should remove necessarily the warning. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'm for small government. I'm not for no government. I'm for very small, localized government.
When I started the show, I would have said the same thing, actually, that is for small government.
Small, localized. There's a difference between small government. You can have a small federal government. That still means that they have a very umbrella authority. I think small, localized is probably a better way to go. And maybe I'll evolve. I'll probably evolve. If you have me on in a week, I'll probably say I'm a fucking full-blown anarchist. And then if you have me on a week later, I'll probably say that I'm a communist. I literally swing. This is what I mean. I swing every fucking week. Like, literally, people say, Zach, you're impulsive, you're reactive. Yes, but at least I'm changing my mind. I'm not staked into a political ideology. Yes, because Alec Baldwin shot that person in the chest. Am I now for not for gun control? Am I now for banning making movies? Yes, because it's clear that making movies is unsafe. And you might say, Zach, some movies nobody gets hurt, and it's just it depends on the person or the people who are involved in making the movies and operating the equipment involved in those movies. And I say, no, no, movies cause violence, and we need to ban movies. We need to have common sense movie regulation, and we need to get rid of the movie production loophole. We need to get rid of all of that. And I don't think anybody should ever be entertained, ever, because I mean, at this point, there's so much that they could be doing. They could be doing push-ups on a sidewalk. They could be walking barefoot in the inner city and stepping on glass from a shooter bottle. There's a lot of different things that a person could be doing, and the fact that they have the fact that Hollywood believes that it's a good thing to make a movie called Rust starring Alec Baldwin as the lead shows the collapse of our society. America is clearly an empire that has surpassed its apex, and we're on the downfall, and that's fine. That's fine. I don't know if what's crazy, Reed. On a serious note, a lot of people have talked about, oh, we're more divided than ever. We're more divided than ever. People are so sad. People are anxious about their future, this and that. I don't think necessarily that societally we're stretched to our finish point. I think economically. I think that the economic decisions made in the past 60 years have led America to such a pit that society and culture had to follow. I think if first of all, starting with fucking Roosevelt, what do you think? The New Deal. If you scratch the New Deal, right? If you scratch Great Society, if you scratch the 2008 Wall Street bailout, those three things, if you get rid of those three things in the economy, we're fine. We have a thriving middle class. Wealth inequality is probably at its lowest. And society will follow because people will be content with they'll be secure in their living conditions. When people are secure in their living conditions, they're much less likely to give a shit if somebody else voted for somebody else. You know what I mean? I think the string of poor economic decisions for the past 60 years, 80 years, 90 years, 100 years have led to this point. It has nothing to do with societal dismantling. In my opinion, some people think that a lot of people at this point like to counteract the mainstream narrative that multiculturalism is a good thing. They say no, it's not a good thing because we're not focused on the same goal. And I don't think multiculturalism doesn't matter. Nothing matters because if you give people security, they don't give a fuck about anything else. I don't the racial. Okay, sure. Is there a racial divide in this country, and has there always been? Yeah. You eliminate that? I don't know. I'm not sure. But guess what? White guy making 75,000 with no inflation. Black guy making 75,000 with no inflation. Black guy says, "I think that black people should get reparations." The white guy says, "I don't think they should." But they're both smoking a cigar in the back. You think they're going to be that upset? You think that they're going to get fucking emotional to the point where they feel like they have to, go out in the streets to protest, right? It's not a fucking. We're not seeing a societal, cultural tear. We're seeing an economic tear. We're seeing a realization by the overwhelming majority of Americans that even if they make $50,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year, it's not going to buy much anymore. And it's through no fault of their own. That's the problem. They did it. It has nothing to do with, oh, we've never been more divided. No, we've just never been more unsettled at the prospect of the dollar not meaning anything. We've never been more unsettled at the fucking indication of our future when it involves our finances, our personal finances, our future personal finances are fucking looking not amazing. And I don't give a fuck about the white guy or the black guy, the fucking Mexican guy next door or what he's doing. I don't care. I'm making, say, 50 grand a year now. Is that going to only be worth 35,000 5 years from now? So I don't think that the fucking this fissure that's happening right now has anything to do with society or culture. I mean, the woke. I mean, the woke can't. They can do what they can, but they're only so. I mean, the woke tend to be like these people who are walking around trying to cancel things. I mean, they're either obese or they're very, very, very skinny to the point where they look ill. There's not much that they can really do. There's not much change that they can actually effectuate. It's economic. All of this is economic, in my opinion. Maybe I'm fucking retarded. I could be. I am. But to me, this if you give a person resources and an ability to secure a comfortable future for their family and their community, none of this happens.
Yeah. Well, where can people keep
I don't know
up
how
with
I got there, by the way. I don't know what I started talking about, but I got there, and that's what matters.
No, it was a good rant. I enjoyed it. But where can people keep up with you? I've got your Rockfin account and your Twitter account in the description. But what else have you got coming up? And where can people keep up with what you're doing?
Yeah, so at Unfit Statesman on Instagram as well. I'm thinking about getting a Rumble. Right? Is that the move?
That's the big thing lately. Didn't they just join up with locals or something? Or
Yeah, there was a merger. Listen, I'm gonna be honestly. You know what I might start doing if I can do it. I know they're regulating their content now after all the fucking child porn stuff, but Pornhub. If I can get my fucking, I'm intellectual and entertainment porn. So if I can get my stuff up on Pornhub, I'll happily do it. I would fucking, dude. I'm actually gonna do that. I never thought about that. I'm gonna start posting videos to Pornhub of my fucking interviews and see if it fucking works. I might.
well, as long as you don't live in Utah, you'll have a shot at that because they're trying to ban that here still. But
Where do you live, by the way? I know you're a trucker, so you travel. Do you have a permanent?
Salt Lake City, buddy.
That's here's you got Zion, right? That's Zion.
That's in our state. Yep.
Have you ever, saw a Mormon and beat him with a tire iron for just thinking that the fucking guy from Missouri had Jesus's true message? Did you ever get the urge to do that? Did you ever?
Not until I heard you just say it, but now that I've heard it, I mean, it's kind of enticing.
You a Jazz fan? You a Utah Jazz fan?
I'm not a Jazz fan.
Okay. All right. Are you into sports? Do you like sports?
I like Utah because of the canyons and the skiing. That's about the cultural stuff. I don't really jive with, just the landscape. So.
Well, I'm from South Dakota. I'm from the west side of South Dakota, which has the Black Hills. We have some skiing. We've got some things here. We've got things here and there, and now I'm in New Jersey, which is a wasteland of rude people, filthy, overly tan Italian Americans who yell in situations that don't call for it. I think I'm fitting right in. I yell. Not too loud sometimes. Although apparently in the fucking chat, apparently my mic was low. So, yeah, maybe this is the place. I don't know. All I know is, and I'll end with this. First of all, here's what I'm gonna Twitter, Instagram, Rockfin, probably Rumble, maybe Rumble. Let's see what else. They said that Phil Murphy has yet to do any type of state vaccine mandate. is going to, after re-election, state a statewide, all-encompassing vaccine mandate. And we vote November, early November. He's running against Jack Ciattarelli. I'm not even like, I'm not vaccinated, but I'm not anti-vax. I just want to know a little more. That's all. I just want more time. I'm just not. I'm scared. Remember when Keith Olbermann did the fucking video about how they're scared? You're like, yeah, I am. I'm a little nervous. I'm fucking nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I am nervous, you dumb fuck. And
Yeah,
also,
it wasn't the greatest point ever.
yeah, you literally made my point for me. And also, what if I came into your apartment and pushed you over the balcony? You're pretty high. According to that fucking background that you have there, you're pretty high up. What if I pushed you over the balcony and then I ran downstairs, took the elevator? I don't want to take stairs. I don't want to be sweaty. I took the elevator down. I said, hello to the concierge. I said, you look beautiful today. And then it's a man, so he's very confused because, usually, he's a man of color. He's a Mexican. They're not using gay culture. I say, hey, hello. You look very beautiful today. Huh? And I keep going, and then I find your corpse that I had recently pushed over the balcony of that high-rise that you live in because you're rich. And I don't even know how you got rich. I'm pretty sure you were involved in the Epstein transactions. It's none of my business. So, and then I violate your corpse with a curling iron. What if I did that? You know what? That's where you can follow me. Whatever that social media site. I don't know. I mean, and here's the point that I may or may not. I don't know what I'm going to do if that's the case. He statewide mandates the vaccine. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have a job here. I have a girlfriend here. I don't know what I would do. Do I? And I'll ask you. Maybe you can give me some advice. In that situation, do I just get it, or do I uproot my life and you know what I mean? I don't know what to do. I'm kind of conflicted if that is the situation because it just came out. I saw it on David Pundit that he did. It was a leaked audio of one of his staffers saying that he's going to do it after he's reelected, which he probably will be. What is the best move here?
I think it's subjective. I mean, it depends on how much it matters to you. Are you on the fence, or are you legit terrified, or is it a violation of principles? I think for me, I would move, but that doesn't take much. I'm not married. I'm from New Hampshire, living in Utah now. So for me, it's pretty easy to uproot and move and change my lifestyle. I think is it just a fear, or is it you feel like you couldn't live with yourself if you did it?
I know, it's not it is a fear because again, scientifically, there's zero studies on the long-term effects. Zero.
Right.
And Pfizer's human trial is done in April of 2023. I mean, we're not even close to being done with the phase 4 human trial, which all vaccines go through before they're even introduced to the market. It is partially principle, just because it's partially principle because it's not proven, in my opinion, right? You have something that's not proven to say that the pros outweigh the cons. You don't know. It'd be one thing if you said, hey, take the polio vaccine, and somebody went, hey, fuck you. Hey, fuck you. I'm not going to do it. And then they go, well, you can't necessarily go to public school. I don't mind. I really don't mind that. I really don't mind the public school saying, if you don't get the polio vaccine, which has been vetted and proven to work, hey. But this is not that. So it's the most of it, it is principle in the sense that I don't think that they should, even if it is vetted, I don't think that it should be mandatory by the state. You can say that they can't go to public school because somebody can still have the option to go to either a private school or homeschool. You're not eliminating all of their options. But it's mainly, to me, it's a thing of, I haven't gotten COVID, and I come into contact with multiple people every fucking day. Or maybe I did get it and I have the antibodies and I was asymptomatic. Why do I need it if I got through the worst of it? It's more scientific to me, and not adding up, statistics not adding up, as opposed to principle, but it is partially principle. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I figured you would say you would move just because I knew it was you. Like, I knew for you, it's very specifically. I mean, I'm sure it's partially scientific, but it is very specifically principle, because I saw a tweet that you had made, which you will no longer be able to make.
That hurts.
Said,
deep, but.
Yes. Well, listen, Twitter, we miss you. We miss you. When I say we, I mean people don't follow me, and I do follow, and I hope they follow me back. Like you said, you saying that you have to get it makes me not want to get it. You had, like, quote tweeted somebody who said, these people are just not getting it because we're telling them they have to get it. You went, yes, yeah, that is, yes. And so it is, it's partially that, but it's also, the majority of it is the lack of scientific evidence for long-term effects and how it reacts to certain predisposed conditions. I guess you're not going to tell me definitively what to do, which is actually really all I came here for. I'm upset that you didn't give me a specific outline for what to do with my life moving forward. So I think we should. I think this is the time where I have to say goodbye.
Just leave it up to the audience. Leave the mystery
What
out
the
there.
live stream say? What the live stream say I should do? Probably kill myself.
Yeah, got everyone in the live stream. Give them advice just for the last couple minutes here. Yeah, but I don't know. Like, one thing I will say is people who talk about getting, fake vaccine passports. I think that is fine for if you're going to go into some event or something that you specifically can't get into without being vaccinated, just for very rare instances. But if you get a vaccine passport and you don't get vaccinated, unless your fear is of the vaccine, which is completely legitimate, then I can understand that. But if your anger is about the principle of being forced to get vaccinated in order to live an ordinary life, I think if you get a fake vaccine passport, you're still capitulating to them because you're
being a pussy.
Yeah, you're doing.
Dude, there was a video of Australians burning the people who had gotten the vaccine, burning their vaccine passports to stand in solidarity with the unvaccinated. I mean, that's dick. That takes dick.
Right.
That takes fucking. I recently rejoined the gym in New Jersey. I've seen. I go before work and shower, and I've seen some pretty impressive penises, some pretty well-built men, most of them minorities of African descent, and that's the type of penis it takes emotionally, because we all have an emotional. We have the physical penis that we all have, and then we have an emotional penis, and that takes that type of emotional penis to go, yeah, I already got the vaccine, but I'm willing to give up proof of it to stand in solidarity with people that I believe should have the right to go into the same places that I should. So I don't know. I guess I've got some digging to do. I don't know if it's going to happen. It's gateway funded. It's conservative. It's right leaning. I don't know. We'll see. But if it does happen, I don't know. Well, I'm gonna have to. That's more of a thing where at this point it's I gotta talk to my girlfriend, figure out what the fuck she's. I mean, at this point, I'll just go, babe, just tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. Finger my asshole in front of you? Okay, I don't know how to do with the vaccine, but we'll figure it out. Like, at this point, it's insane. I never thought I'd get to the point where the government had this much control over my individual choices. But I think it's find out,
Yeah, I mean, Jose Gallison did a whole episode on this, and I didn't agree with him at first, but then when I was listening to him, I realized we actually had a pretty similar position that sometimes like just opposing a mandate and losing your job and ruining your life can actually be the wrong decision. You know, it's kind of like fuck, what was that guy's name? I can't remember his name, but there was this missionary in Africa, and he saw these slave traders murder like 50 women, and he pulled out his revolver and he was going to go try to save them, but then he stopped himself because he realized, you know what, I'm just going to die right here, and that'll be the end,
Right.
and I'm not going to be able to save those women. So I think that it is kind of strategic, and it depends on your situation. For me, I would stay and avoid the mandate and take consequences or move. But I think it is an individual circumstance. So that's the best advice I can give.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the problem with libertarians. They can never be fucking consultants. They're like, what should I do with my money? And they're like, it's an individual choice. It's freedom of choice. This is the fucking problem. Fucking libertarians can never be a consultant or a psychiatrist because they can never actually give advice. They can just say that it's your choice.
Well, I gave you advice and said it's your choice. I did both. So
that's true. I mean, listen, you did say that you did tell me what you.
That's right. That's all a libertarian can do is tell you what he would do, and very rarely what she would do. You know, but let's be real, there aren't too many of those around.
Very rarely.
Very rarely.
Very rarely.
All right, we'll end it right there. Thanks for watching, guys. Go follow this guy on Rockfin. Follow him on Instagram and Twitter. You won't regret it.
Apple Pie. Oh,